Welcome to the first class in the Photoshop Masterclass series. Welcome. So I went ahead and opened up the Adobe Photoshop CC 2017 program. If you have any previous Photoshop program, whether it's not in the Adobe Cloud, if you just have an older version of Photoshop or a free version of Photoshop, that's okay. Any version of Photoshop can get a lot out of my class. A lot of the tools haven't changed a lot in the last 10 years. They've added additional items to it, but mostly some of the basics, it's all the same. So feel free to get a lot out of this class. So let's get started. I wanted to kind of wanted you to familiarize yourself with the dashboard here with the interface. The left side area, this is called your toolbar. This is going to be where a lot of the action happens. By default, this should be your default layout, and if not, we'll get to how to set that up really quickly, but just kind of overviewing some of the basics so you can feel comfortable in this program. So this is kind of your toolbar. We're going to be able to edit a lot of items. The right side is going to be all your different window panels. And so by default, you'll probably see something very similar to this. You're going to have things like a layer panel. You're going to have your color panel, you're going to have a swatch panel, a history panel is really important to have up, a properties panel, a character panel, and a paragraph panel. If you go up to the window option up top, you'll be able to see and call out different panels. If there's a certain one that I talk about during the class and you want to be able to recall that window, just go to Window and click on it. So let's say I refer to the color window, or I'm choosing options from the color window. Go ahead and select it and you'll be able to do that. And the great thing about the newer version of Photoshop is you can actually drag out a lot of these and create your own kind of layout depending on what you use the most. And I can talk about kind of which ones I use more, which ones I use less. Like I don't do a lot of 3D work, so the 3D, I usually have that unchecked. I don't really need that. Actions are something I use, but not as often, so I kind of have that unchecked as well. But some of these I use a little bit more often. I know I do a lot of typography, so I like to have my character and my paragraph. These are really two fantastic windows if you're big in typography, because then you can edit if you want left or right alignment in your paragraph, or if you want to edit all the size of your text. That's kind of where these come into play. So to kind of get to the default layout that I'm going to be working with in this class, as you go up to Window and you are going to go to Workspace, I'm going to go ahead and reset. This is called Essentials, and there's different kinds of preset settings that you can load. Let me go to Workspace. And so there's Essentials, which is kind of your default. That's what I'm going to work with because I feel like I want to kind of teach you guys Photoshop for graphic design, photography, kind of a little bit of everything, because you guys are going to use Photoshop for different reasons, not just for the same reason. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I have Window, Workspace, Essentials, and just go ahead, if it looks different than mine, just reset it. It'll kind of reset it back to the default. So it should look like this. You can actually uncollapse this window and you should have two working columns. I usually like to have two columns expanded so I can have the most options available to me. So that's kind of just your basic setup where you have your left toolbar where you could have all your tools that you can access, and your panels, your window panels where you can access your other set of options. Photoshop is a pretty intense program. There's a lot of different options because people use Photoshop for photography, for graphic design, for layout, for typography. There's so many reasons to use Photoshop, so there's a lot of overwhelming options, and so this class, hopefully I can break all that down for you. We'll go over the several toolbar panels, we'll go over all these different options, and there's also a ton of options up here at the top where you can have filters, you could do images and do adjustments to your photos. So hopefully I can break this class down so it's not as overwhelming for you. So we'll start off with the toolbar and we'll kind of cover things one at a time. and then toward the end of the class we'll be able to apply it and design a lot of different things, and we'll also be able to do a lot of extensive photo editing as well for those who are big into the photo editing. But I'm a graphic designer by trade, so that's how I'm going to kind of approach this class, although if you want to do this for photo editing, I do a ton of that as well. So if you're just interested in learning Photoshop as an overall program, you're in the right place and hopefully in the right class. So please join me for the rest of this class, and I hope you enjoyed the series. Thank you.